is happening, everybody? Thank you for joining me for another one of my PGA DFS Top 5 videos. This one, of course, is my PGA Top 5 Sleepers for the weekend. Of course, it is the Farmers Insurance Open. Our first of two stops here at the beautiful Torrey Pines Golf Club. And a little bit easier for me maybe to do this video after a week where last week I recommended the winner as one of my top 5 sleepers. It's not often we get to do that, as Siwoo Kim was my number 2 guy on the board. It's part of the video last week. Also went another 4 for 5. Had Matthew Wolff make the cut, Gary Woodland make the cut, come inside the top 15 as well. Adam Hadwin and Denny McCarthy was my only one that missed. So overall, a pretty good week getting the winner, another top 20. Definitely, hopefully, you guys were able to make a little bit of cheddar on that recommendation. So let's try and make it 2 for 2 this week. Get another winner, maybe even go 5 for 5. So let's start off right at the top. We're going to go with Patrick Reed. And now Patrick Reed was the highest owned golfer in the slate last week, coming in at over 30%. So they kept his price right at it at $10,100. But because of that, lower ownership, much lower ownership expected. Only 8%. Excuse me, only 8% projected owned. And with course history as good as he has had, 6th and 13th in the past 2 years here, not really that nervous, to be completely honest with you about it. Strokes gain ranks, obviously one of the best putters on tour, no doubt about it. Had a great putting week at the Tournament Champions. So he's ranked 3rd there, pretty much average everywhere else. 114th off the tee, 104 on the approach, and 152 around the green. So Patrick Reed, 8% projected owned this week after highest owned last week. I'll go back in. I think the conditions also may set up for him quite well. Okay, next guy we're going to talk about is Brooks Koepka, another guy that missed the cut last week, 9,400. He's only projected at 5% owned. Now, he hasn't played here in the last 2 years, but last week what I saw was really not that bad. He had one bad hole on that back 9 on Friday that pretty much cost him, made a triple, cost him the chance at the cut, but was at 4 under right there to make the cut. And had he done that and played a good weekend, maybe not as good as Patrick Cantlay had, but a good weekend, he would not be 5% owned at $9,400. So I'm okay to jump in here. Off the tee, 97th this year, 124th on the approach, 16th around the green, and 17th putting. Little bit of a flux maybe in his game. Koepka announced that he is no longer working with Clark Harmon, his swing coach, but I'm sure he's got another good one. It could be Pete Cowan, who was his specialist in the short game. Maybe Pete Cowan has taken over all of it. So, move on now to our next golfer here. Sorry, I had a little dog hair come in close to my mouth there. That's the problem with having puppies, right? Their hair gets everywhere, especially Labradors. Next guy, I don't know if this guy is a Labrador, but certainly he has been a really quality player since joining the PGA Tour, and that is Will Zeletorius. If there's ever a golf course or a setup that we like, it's one that favors the ball strikers. And this guy, he's ranked 8th off the tee and 5th on the approach this year. Superb numbers from him. He's coming in at $8,100, which I think is really keeping ownership low. It's only projected at 7%, one of the few guys, one of the 5 or 6 that are projected under 10% owned that are above $8,000 in salary. So while he hasn't played in the last 2 years, he's not going to play many places because he hasn't been on the PGA Tour. But $8,100, I think it's a reasonable price for him. Needs to work on his short game a little bit. 131 around the green and 137 putting, but still, Will Zeletorius, I like him against the grain this week. Fourth guy is Byung-Hyun Ahn. He came in at 1% owned last week and came in the top 10. I don't know why nobody wants to own him going into here this week. Everything looked pretty good, of course, except for his putting, which he is ranked 247th this year. But around the green looks good, 25th. Approaches look good, 27th. He had a bunch of fairways last week, 103rd off the tee. So I like Byung-Hyun Ahn, only 3% owned. There's a bunch of guys in that range. Of course, I'm not going to put Jordan Spieth here because everybody would hate me for it. But I think Byung-Hyun Ahn does offer some good upside. He's made the cut in both of his tries or both of his visits to San Diego. Nothing above 48th, but still I think the form maybe has come around, and I like Byung-Hyun Ahn this week. Okay, this one I am betting on a better golfer than he was a year ago, and that is Harold Varner III. 7,000 on DraftKings, only 3% owned. It was just, a month and a half ago where this guy was, in the 8,000s and the chalk of the week. Not here. Now, he's missed the cut in back-to-back years, but the strokes gain numbers are so much better. 89th off the tee, 25th on the approach, 12th around the green, and 84th putting this year. Those numbers look pretty good for a golfer that is $7,000. So we're going to look for the course history notion to turn around a little bit for HV3 this week. and look for a solid outing. So to recap here as we approach the 5-minute mark, which is what I love to keep it around, get you the information as quickly as possible and actionable. Patrick Reed is my top one, 10,100 on DK, 8% owned. Brooks Koepka, 9,400 on DK, 5% owned. Will Zeletorius, 8,100 on DK, 7% owned. Byung-Hyun Ahn, 7,500 on DK, 3% owned. And Harold Varner, 7,000 on DK, and also 3% owned. So thank you for joining me for my PGA DFS top 5 sleepers for the Farmers Insurance. I almost said the American Express, but it's the Farmers Insurance Open. Of course, if you haven't already, make sure you like this video or dislike it if you don't like some of the recommendations this week. Of course, I love to hear your feedback. And make sure you also subscribe to our channel so that when these videos do come live, they're all at a little different times throughout the week, you get notified. So until next time, everybody, until my top 5 fades video or one of my live shows, next one coming up with Ben Raza, 7 p.m. Wednesday, Eastern Standard Time, of course, for our live before lock. So till then, everybody, thank you for joining, and we will see you on the other side. Cheers.